I met Rachel on the day that I went in for my interview at Radio Shack. I was going for my job interview, first interview out of college, and I was kind of nervous. Didn't know how it would go. I had some insiders working with me to get me a job at Radio Shack. That was fun. But I was kind of nervous, so I walked in and I saw this pretty girl hanging outside of Radio Shack.
I went into Radio Shack for an interview, which was really surprising because I have no electronic background besides dinky little cell phones that I like to dork around with. And out pops this guy, very geeky, but it was charming, you know, kind of in an endearing way. And he had all this stuff on his belt, which is really unusual because it's not something you usually see in somebody in our age group. But he might have said hi, I might have said hi, I can't remember, but I didn't really think too much of it. And
I went to the back room for training and I thought to myself, this job could be fun. I get to help the pretty girl figure out what all these electronic things are. So we went through our training at Radio Shack and pretty much we're just coworkers.
From there, I was only at Radio Shack for about 4 weeks, and I just recall him being very useful. He was able to answer a lot of questions. I mean, I would get phone calls for people asking about all these ridiculous devices. I would go like this on the phone, "What's that?" Yeah, I didn't have a clue, but that was really the formal introduction.
We started talking online, and I thought to myself, you know, I need a friend. At the time, I was kind of feeling lonely, and we both needed someone to talk to. We both needed a friend. So we started chatting, and chatting, and chatting. And I remember she told me later she would always wait. She would just get really happy when I would hop online. She would see my icon pop up, and she was so excited to talk to me. And I had to admit I was pretty excited to talk to her when I saw her get online as well.
We would chat back and forth, talking about our days. We'd talk about our relationship history, kind of what we were into and what we liked. And it started getting to the point where I would look forward to, you know, seeing him pop online every night because he usually worked till, well, 9:30 or so. So if I was home, if I wasn't working, I'd usually just sit and wait. When's he gonna come up? When's the ding gonna come up? When am I gonna see his name in the corner? From our conversations, I knew Byron was a Christian, which seemed like a rarity again in our age group. And so I thought it'd be kind of an opportunity to see if the relationship, you know, as a friendship, would even progress anywhere. And we sat in Applebee's. It was funny and awkward, but you know, I found myself relaxing after a little bit. It was interesting to hear more about his family and what he had to say, what was on his mind, and what he liked.
I went over to her house a few times and we played some Wii games. Champion at bowling, by the way, she is. And during, you know, while we were playing games, we continued chatting online. We continued just getting to know each other. It's sort of the 20 questions of relationships. It's, you know, what was your last relationship like? And you keep going and going. So I learned more about this girl, and I thought she was a really neat person. I started to want to get to know her as a close friend, not just somebody I knew from former coworker.
And I think about that time that I was beginning to realize that a lot of our hobbies were similar, and you know, we had a similar sense of humor. We enjoyed spending time with each other, which kind of started signaling to me that we could progress.
So we started flirting, quote unquote, in computer games. It was goofy. It's the geekiest thing you can imagine.
I started flirting and making kind of casual comments about relationships and kind of gauging his reaction.
Now, if that isn't as geeky as you can get, I'm not sure what is.
We would sit next to each other. Sometimes he would put his arm around me, or he would do something that was thoughtful, or something that I read out of countless relationship books, like, you know, was his knee pointed toward me when he crossed his legs, or, you know, was he facing me? Was he, you know, touching my arm when we were in conversation? I was really gauging everything, and I got a lot of mixed signals.
I did invite her to this Hamfest thing, and she impressed me immensely by saying she would go. there are very few girls that feel at home at a ham fest. A geek swap fest, which, I don't know, it's a special kind of place. You gotta be, she had to be a special kind of girl to want to actually go with me. And so we went, and we enjoyed it together. This was very cool. I thought to myself, I could maybe like this girl. And she started seeing some mixed signals and signs from me because I didn't know what I felt. I had basically shut down my emotions for a time, and I wasn't exactly sure how I was feeling. Was I supposed to like this girl? Was I supposed to just be a good friend? From there, she started giving me signals that she might be interested. She might be interested in hanging out a little more.
I recall when we went to a ham fest, it was my first time going. All of a sudden, he was doing these things he had never done before. I remember he would gaze at me in his car when some of our friends were putting together a radio in another friend's car. All of a sudden, the dynamic completely shifted to the point where instead of it being mixed signals, it was like, okay, he really likes me, but he just told me that he didn't a week ago, and it was very puzzling. And that was the first night he kissed me. By the time I felt relatively confident that he was interested in me through various conversations with friends and family and my counselor, you know, it seemed like all the signs were pointing in the right direction. He was expressing interest in me. We were spending a lot of time together. He seemed to relay a lot of my messages back, you know, in terms of flirting, which, you know, was, I mean, it was very subtle. Byron's not exactly, oh my gosh, I love you, you're so awesome. But Byron is very subtle with how he approaches things, but it was obvious, plainly.
When we first started dating, I still wasn't fully certain of how I felt, really. I started dating her kind of because she liked me, which isn't the best reason. I kept dating her because I started to like her company. I was hanging out with her on a regular basis. My dad observed, "Are you dating this girl? I mean, you really spend a lot of time with her." And I said, "Oh, kind of, yeah, we're sort of hanging out." Code for yes. And I was impressed with her ability to enjoy the activities that I enjoyed doing simply for the fact that I enjoyed doing them, and she liked to see me sort of in my element. I still have some to learn about doing her activities.
Trying not to love you, only you went so far. Trying not to need you was tearing me apart. Now I see the silver lining, what we're fighting for. We just keep on trying. We could be much more, 'cause trying not to love you.
I guess I started feeling like I was ready to commit to him probably in the summer of 2011. It was something we had talked about, you know, in passing, you know, do you think we could get to this point? But somewhere down that line, especially when I started having problems with my hip that summer, I recognized that he was really there for me, and he was a good man, and he had a very close personal relationship with God, which is really respectable. And just the fact that he had values and morals that you don't often see in a young 20-something male, it really just stood him apart. And probably one of the things that made me fall in love with him most, and I continue to really admire about him, has a lot to do with his interest, what he enjoys and why he enjoys it. He's just a very interesting person. And considering we communicate so well, well, I'm the psychology major and he's a communications major, we've never really had any disagreements or any indications that a relationship wouldn't work in the long run. So, yeah, I kind of started mentioning it probably about July of last year.
Yeah, she's a master of hinting. Hint. And she kept hinting, and she wasn't far off, but I guess I started thinking about it, but it did take me a while to come to a decision because forever is a long time. And I will probably review this video in about 20 years and not even know then that I didn't even know the meaning of that statement now. But forever is a long time. And I just didn't feel ready to move towards marriage right away. At the same time, we enjoyed spending so much time together. She became my best friend a long time before she became my girlfriend. I think that was the right way to do it. And then when she started feeling ready to move towards marriage, again, she felt it before I did, but as I came to the decision to propose to her, it was, we make a good team. We can work together, we work through differences together. We don't have massive arguments and disagreements on a regular basis. And that was kind of where I decided this could work quite well. So that's what brought us to the point where I think it was November we started talking very seriously and agreed to get married. And then it was in December that I found a sparkly thing and put it on her finger and claimed her. Yep, she's mine.
So we planned it all out for the middle of June, from the wedding cake to the honeymoon. And your mama cried when you walked down the aisle.
She laughs with me, she makes jokes about me and with me, and I make jokes about her. And you know, like she said, we're very good at communicating when we do have difficulties. There's been a couple things where I don't exactly see eye to eye with her, but we can talk about it. For the most part, we can talk them out. Life throws curveballs at you, know that, but we believe we can make it work. We believe we love each other through anything. And that's why I gave her a little ring right there, and why I'm putting another ring on her today.
I remember trying not to stare the night that I first met you. You had me mesmerized, and 3 weeks later in the front porch light, taking 45 minutes to kiss goodnight. I hadn't told you yet, thought I loved you then. Now you're my whole life, now you're my whole world, and I just can't believe the way I feel about you, girl. Like a river meets the sea, stronger than it's ever been. We've come so far since that day, and I thought I loved you then. I remember taking you out for dinner at Red Lobster. You were so surprised there were people around, but I didn't care. I got down on one knee right there, and once again I thought I loved you then. Now you're my whole life, now you're my whole world, and I just can't believe the way I feel about you, girl. Like a river meets the sea, stronger than it's ever been. We've come so far since that day, and I thought I loved you then. With a baby on the way, and I can just see you when your hair is turning gray. What I can't see is how I'm ever gonna love you more. But I've said that before. Now you're my whole life. Now you're my whole world. And I just can't believe the way I feel about you, girl. We'll look back someday at this moment that we're in, and I'll look at you and say, I thought I loved you then, and I thought I loved you then. Rachel, Clare, you are amazing. You're loved. You're special.
Rachel and BJ, let's hear it for them. Congratulations.
Well, thanks everybody for coming to our wedding. Thank you for those of you who made it to our reception, for watching this silly little video of ours.
And a big thanks to those who travel long distance.
And for those who traveled a short distance, we'd like you too. I think we're gonna have some cake now. Food is good, we like cake.
Sounds good to me. Who likes red velvet?